is the time it escaped. This is where it went euphoric and wild and crazy and exciting. And
Good morning. Doesn't look like I have a class just yet, so we'll just bear with me for a minute if you are watching. This is not trading advice. This is educational, informational only, but do your own due diligence. Don't follow my trades because my situation is going to be different than yours. And it's just stupid to do that. It's a good way to get wrecked is if you're following somebody else's trades. So anyway, I'll pop back in a minute, but in the meantime, just chill out and watch my chart. All right, I'll see it. Just yet. So what's up, Defy? You have no audio. I can't hear you. Well, he logged out. We were having this problem the other day too. Still got nothing. I can't hear you. Make sure you're hitting your push to talk. I think remember you set up push to talk the other day. And then if you're looking at the Discord, like the voice chat room, you can see your name light up if it's recognizing or if it's transmitting your audio. The other thing is you can go to the YouTube channel and you can see there's a little icon that pops up for whoever's talking to. That's just Jules Crypto, Jules Crypto, something like that. That's a good way to. Oh, he bounced off for a second. I'll mention that when he gets back in. I was just gonna say that's a good way to test audio. Sometimes if there's a live like YouTube feed, you can always I don't know, rewatch it or whatever. But I still can't hear you. Still no audio. What you might want to do is underneath, like in the bottom left corner of the Discord window, there's that the headphones and microphone icon. If you right click on the microphone, you can make sure that your microphone is the correct microphone that you want to use. Sometimes that's the problem. Right click it, not left click. There you go. Now it works.
Okay.
What was the deal there?
I got a call right before I jumped on the call. Had to talk with my business partner, and then this microphone was not working for the longest time.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sometimes happens when you go back and forth using it from different programs. Sometimes the drivers will load weird or something.
Yeah.
So were you here last week? I think it was Wednesday when we did the support and resistance stuff.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just go ahead.
Calling Smoke Monkey right now to get him on the call because he would work on a lot of stuff too. Let me just give him a call really quick.
You got it.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, he I think he's helping his dad. His dad had medical problems, so he had to take care of his dad.
Gotcha. No sweat. I'm just looking at this one. So ASTR, Astral or something. What's it called? Astar Network. It's up 12.5% today, and I got in on this one it was a while ago. It was mid October. I kind of had to deal with a little bit of a downtrend first, but it ended up just doing such a great deal. And that was that one that I posted in general. But today it's up 12.75, and this green line right here is where I got into it at.
Oh, okay. Well, then what made you? Can you explain what was it a chart pattern that you saw, or was it what made you jump into this one?
Yeah, and so what that was is, and I was explaining this, I think, after you logged off last week. Just kind of the way that I trade is, let me see if I get this right. Let me find the right setup here. So what I do and is I look for just a Fibonacci. It's actually a really simple thing that I guess the strategy is really simple, but there's a lot more complexities that kind of run behind it. Elliott wave principle is kind of the principle that I follow, and it's like the way that I would explain it. It's like chemistry of the market. I understand. So the patterns they typically follow certain patterns that anyway, it's almost like the atoms that are built to make up the molecules of the market, and that's the way that I like to trade. It's kind of a real technical, and most people don't like it this way. It's not a very exciting trade. It's very boring, but I simplify it because it's all about the Fibonacci. And so I take my tool from the very bottom of a market all the way to the top, like this. Right here, this is where the top was.
Yeah.
And I have this is called a retracement tool, and it tells you what after something goes up, what the percentage of it comes down. And I'll put these labels on real quick, so you can see. This is the 50% right here. Here, actually, let me make it a little larger. So the blue line here is the 50%, and the gold line is the 61.8. The 50% is not a Fibonacci number. It's just one that comes up all the time. But the 61.8 is a Fibonacci number. And this is the golden line. The golden ratio is what it's called. You'll hear sometimes called as a golden pocket, but that's when it's lined up with a pitchfork like this. If you go like this with it, which we'll do this at another time. But if it happens to line up with that golden ratio, this is called the golden pocket. And when you get a retracement in this golden pocket on this is called a pitchfork. There's an 80% chance of price hitting this median line. So we're just about ready to do it. But that's why I did this one. Is this one just kind of looked like that perfect trade for that. But the simple version of that is just like I just use this retracement tool and I look for opportunities to hit the golden ratio.
Yeah.
Now it's not always going to hit the golden ratio. I mean, I'll show you what the common Fibonacci spots for this tool are. That's not all of them. Hold on, let me see if I just have all of them. Yeah, these are all the Fibonacci places, but the golden pocket is the most common one, so that's why it's highlighted in gold. This one ended up going to the 70.7, and it just touched it perfectly and went off. But typically, price, you can see how well it stays within Fibonacci levels of a pattern like this.
Yeah.
So a trader could trade on every one of these levels. They could trade at the 50, and if it just goes beyond the 50, or if it goes beyond their level, I would say try to stick to one or two, and that's it. But I typically will wait until price hits the Fibonacci number, and then once you get down here. So right now we're on the daily, right? I'll zoom in to maybe let's do 4 hour and see what happens. 4 hour, maybe 1 hour, just to get a better idea. So this is so from this point right here, this area from here to here on that chart that I was just showing you, that was just from here to here, right? This part to this part.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to the 1 hour again. And the way that I would trade this in hindsight is I'd get this tool out here at the bottom again, and as it's going up, here, let me get my regular tool back. So as it's going up, you'll see that it got to a high right here, and you can take the tool and here I have the magnet on, and it bounced off the 50, and then it went up and made a new high. So let's take that high right there. It didn't even hit the 50. Didn't even hit the 50. Didn't even hit the 50. So it was already on a roll here. The only place to have caught that is off of a 50 right here. Now I know this looks easy, but I actually caught this early because I thought it was going to bounce right here. This is where I caught it. So it jumped up, and for this, we're talking like this is October 11th, and this is October 16th. So over the course of a couple of days, it probably jumped up, I don't know, a couple $100 or something, maybe $100, $150 or something. But then I was down actually $150, but I was so confident in this setup right here that I wanted to weather it out. I probably wouldn't have been able to take it too much longer. I probably would have got out of it over. Yeah, if I saw that it was still going after this pink line right here, I probably would have probably exited this trade. But it ended up being. Oops, hold on. I'm not even looking at the right place. Hold on. Oh, that's why I haven't. It probably is the right place. Let me just look at my horizontal line. Yeah, so that's what happened. Is I got in probably right in here, and then it went down for a bit, and it went down a lot more than I would have liked. But like I said, I was so confident in kind of the way that it just was looking at this point. It really didn't look like it wanted to go down anymore. And so it's been a nice little rocket ever since. I mean, and we're talking, well, since I got it, it's up 50%.
Oh.
Because I bought in at 0.042, and now it's at 0.062, I guess. So that was that's like I said, basically, it's my trading is always going to be, typically what you do is you wait for it to go down to the top. It'll typically bounce off of the 50, come back about the same, golden ratio, 50% to 60 something percent, and then come down, land on the golden, and that's when I typically will try to get in. So I wanted to show the, kind of like how resistance has affected Bitcoin on its way up since Thanksgiving of last year.
Yeah.
You can see these are the different high points that when it was on its way down, it created a new low. So this would be a new support level as it's on its way down. A new support level, a new high resistance level, a new support level, new resistance level, new support level, new resistance level, new support level. But when it goes back on its way up, you see how it stops every single time that it finds one of these little resistance spots, and then it accumulates. So in trading, you'll hear a couple different terms. You'll hear trending, which means that price is either moving up or down, and then you'll hear accumulating, which is when it's kind of going through. It's like it's cooling off. So when we were talking about these RSI things right here, when it's on its way up, it's trending. When it's on its way down, it's trending. But when it's at the top and at its lows, it's typically accumulating. It's doing this little barcoding pattern that it does, and that's usually just a lot of people buying and selling on smaller time frames that are just kind of building up and getting ready for the next push up or down. So then that's these places where you see price has stopped. You can clearly see how on its way up it stopped at that resistance, right here, came down. Then it jumped through and tested another resistance, came down, tested it again, came down. So this is a confirmation of this is now support right here. See, I drew that from, so this is resistance. It's still resistance until you test it. Now it's support. It's tested again. It's support. This support's good. So that gives this move strength. So it can move up through this. I'm anticipating it to get to about 40 and then test this level again. It might, and we're getting to kind of like after a good, these are called waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. Once you get to about 5 waves, it needs to cool down, and that's typically where if I was to trade this, I would do one of two things. I would find the spot here. Well, it'll probably be, I'm assuming that Bitcoin will keep going to about 40. So if I put this there as where I presume the top will be, then I anticipate then it'll come down and test this level right here. It'll come down a little bit lower, and it'll either jump through, or this is where it'll decide that it needs to actually retrace and probably hit down here, just to kind of make sure that these levels are still good again, and then jump off from there. If it does do that, though, I would anticipate that the move off of this golden ratio will probably be one of the best trades in history, because from this point it should never come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if it does this and comes down and we retrace back to 30 or something like that to retest this level, there's still I'd say that we would probably pump again, but then come back and retrace. There's going to be one more kind of big dip again before it pops off. That's typically the scenario. I was before you got on, I was kind of walking through how Bitcoin did the same thing right here. You could draw these levels of resistance right here, and you can see how it did the same thing. It came up, it tested this level, jumped through, it retested this, this is now support. I'd be willing to bet it's support that, oh no, it didn't even get there yet. So it came up, tested, and then we broke through after we got this level of support. After we investors saw that it can break through, test this, and show nothing but newer, higher lows after this point, then it was game on, and if this was the bull run.
Yeah,
we could be there. We could be here. We could be there here too. Testing this level with a double test like this. It very much confirmed that this is a strong level of support at 25. So we may never see 25 ever again after seeing and testing this. So the next time it might hit the golden pocket might be after it hits the top, the all-time high now, and then retraces down to 32 again. Yeah. So, but I also showed that that these support levels aren't just horizontal. That you can see them play out over the course of long time sometime, but these trends tend to, it would be completely plausible too that when it retraces, it probably retraces somewhere along this trend line. Part of how I trade is by setting up these channels, and so when the way I follow trend lines typically through the cycle, I guess the wave cycle, is I'll draw channels like this. This will be my first channel, and then typically these are the lines that they will retrace on in the future. That'll always be along the middle line, the high line, or the low line of this right here. And that's how I do it, because of the structure of my trades kind of follows a pattern that looks like this. So you can, so I can, so by if I see that I have this right here and a high, and you've got to move up out of this, then I can tell that this channel is going to affect, all of the future waves within this impulse wave. And so this is kind of like, like I said, I this is how I track it. This 5 right here. So that it obviously reacted off of this one too, but I'm anticipating that there could be a move that hits this in the future. And that's a pretty significant possibility right there. I could make the argument that we could be at 70,000 by the end of January. What do you think of that?
That's crazy. Yeah, that be awesome to see. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, besides the diagonals too, I'm going to get up a couple, and these are okay. Actually, before we even get there, I'll get into the indicator part too. Okay, that makes sense. So one of the things that TradingView is a great program. All the different things that you can do with it. But the indicators are, I think, one of the most important parts. If you click on this button, there are just thousands and thousands of different indicators that people can use to figure out how to read the market. And I'll go through some of the most common ones in a second too. If I make some pauses or something, I might just be talking to my wife. She's on her way off to work and stuff, so I might be side chatting with her for a minute.
Always.
So let me find the right indicators. I don't use moving indicators a lot. So if I'm going to fumble all over the explaining the moving indicators, because like I said, it's not particularly what I use. I use them for technical analysis, for confirmations and the like, but they're not a big part of my the trade signals for me like they are a lot of other traders. Sorry about that. Let me get the moving indicators up. There you go. Okay, so what these are the different lines that just popped up. I'm going to clean up my screen so that hopefully that's all that shows up real quick. Okay, so these lines that just popped up are they're moving averages, and what that means is that these take the average price over the last however many days I put in here, and it draws a line based on the price average over the last so many days. So in this case, let me see, I only have these two, the pink and the green lines that are going. So the pink line is the 60-day moving average, and the green line is a 250-day moving average. 60 and 250. Got that? So if I were to average the price of Bitcoin over the last 250 days, this point right here where the green line is right now is that average. So it's 26, and it just draws the lines from candle to candle, right? And a lot of people read these because and these are very common days, 60 and 250. And the reason why is 60 is hold on a second. There's 60 calendar days in some, I can't remember, but anyway, there's a reason why people use like this I think it's the 90 because it's, I don't know, the days in a quarter or whatever. But there are, you can use moving averages for any day that you want. A lot of people trade. If you're trading really fast, you might want a much faster indicator, moving average to indicate. So, but how a lot of people read this is, first off, they do act as support and resistance. You can see that off of the 250. Actually, I'm gonna show you an example, because I think that even better than the 250 is the 1,000 moving average when it comes to Bitcoin. Let's see. Well, that didn't work. It must be a TradingView thing. Piece of shit. They only give like big long histories to people that pay big bucks for it. Okay, so I can't show you that one. Let me see if 500 works.
Dude, on that chart, it's like 3 more candles to the bull run.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Did you see the one I showed you earlier where there's a path that has 70,000 for Bitcoin by the end of January?
Yeah, no, I believe it. It's
I don't know. I mean, it'd be great if it was true, but
70,000, but it's back to 50 or 40 within a month of that date.
Yeah, probably. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was showing. So anyway, I was explaining that these moving averages can be used as support and resistance. So like you'll see a lot of times price will come down, hit one of these moving averages dead on, and then move back up. And it's the same thing. People trade these just like they trade support and resistance. So just, these can be considered just different types of support and resistance. Now, how I read these is these are, well, how a lot of people in the market read them also is when these lines cross, they say a lot about they're good confirmations, I suppose, of market moves. For example, coming out of this, the slower moving average, when you have the faster moving average coming down through the slower moving average, it's called a death cross. This is the death cross right here. And typically people consider the death cross as like an indicator that the top is coming, but that's not the case. The death cross almost always happens after the top has been hit, but it does indicate that you're in a bearish market. So, and it's the same thing on the way up. This is called what is called a morning star when it crosses up through, because that means we've hit the low already. Typically, we've hit the low and we're coming out of it. Up here, this is a big death cross right here. And again, having just come out of it like this is a really good sign. So it's looking really bullish. So this is one indicator, but a lot of people use them, and you see a lot of strategies are depend on them. A lot of strategies will start off with, if you're trading below the 250, all of your moves should be bearish, should be shorts. If you're trading, if current price is above the 250, all of your trades should be bullish. So that's one way of trading. Typically, the way that I think that the most common strategies that involve moving average is when price jumps through a moving average and then tests it and bounces off. The place to enter is past the high. So this would be if you're coming after this, we jumped up, we tested this, I guess this would have been the false breakout. You would have been stuck because this would have been the original place to enter right here, and that's basically at the top. But since it made that, I guess this would be the place. Once this confirms right here, it should be off to the races, according to that strategy. So Bitcoin might be a good entry. Might be somewhere right in front of 30,000, right in this area right here. Again, I still think that there's a this is the top right here, and there's a lot of bottom from here to here. So if typically when you enter a trade, you want to stop loss somewhere. There's no room for a stop loss here. You're going to get wrecked, because these are all big, huge moves. So if you're going to trade here with a reasonable expectation that there's a good chance it'll probably go lower, so put a healthy stop loss. But yeah, I would say that it would be very risky. There's a lot of reasons not to trade this too. One being that on the weekly RSI, we are 99. We're almost at 100. The daily cooled down though. So this right here is the daily RSI. This is here. Let me change tools because this is kind of a complicated tool for a beginner. But I have the same thing that I can show you on a simpler way of doing it real quick. So this tool right here is the same thing as this one is. Hold on, let me. So these tools are the same tool. The only difference between this tool and this tool is that this tool I use because it has multiple timeframes on it. So this is just what the daily RSI is right here. And if I wanted to see what the weekly RSI was, I'd have to go and check it out on the weekly where I can see that it's already in the 99s. Same as this right here. But when I go down to a smaller time frame on this one, it keeps track of the weekly right here and the daily. And then if I go down to the 4 hour, it even has the 4 hour RSI right here. So I can tell by looking at it, this is the 4 hour, that this is the daily and this is the weekly. I know what these different lines mean, but that's because I customized the shit out of this particular tool,
Yeah.
So the good news is that the daily RSI has cooled a lot. It cooled fast. So that does indicate that on a time frame as small as the daily, which is actually a really long time frame, it has the momentum where it could hit the bottom here while the weekly is still moving upwards a little bit, or sometimes the weekly, these things will get stuck where a couple weeks it'll stay maxed out a little bit, and that's where a lot of price action happens in times like that. So if you're on the daily and you see that you're already close to, it's at 8, it should zero out. So maybe after a couple more days, it might be completely zeroed out. But then if it starts moving upwards while the weekly is still maxing out, we could also be in for a really good move upwards too. So there's more, I guess, more confluencing technical analysis that says that a big move could be imminent for Bitcoin.
So FYI, I think the buy is, what is it, 34,823, so pretty much where we just was now. Up to 46.
What is that? What are you telling me?
Technically, you buy here and ride to 46.
Yeah, I mean, I see the argument for it. There's this other thing that I just noticed. You've got some bearish divergence.
what is it, a 4-hour daily trend line? It's on the hourly and the 4-hour. It's pretty consistent right here. We lose it, we're screwed. We don't lose it, so we could go up to 46.
So we have daily divergence on the bearish divergence at the top here, but you can already see the RSI's treading downward quicker. I'd be willing to bet that we could have another spike with lower RSI that would just kind of make that a stronger move downward. So what that divergence in RSI is probably one of the strongest indicators that you're near a top or bottom. This indicator actually finds the divergences. This is actually a standard RSI indicator, but it finds the divergences for you. And I like it just because it makes it easier. It takes an extra step of divergences when you have an increase in price like this in highs. So on the top, you do from the highs, you have an increase in price from here to here. But on the RSI, which is kind of the strength, there's a decrease. So that typically happens when the market really is finding its weakest points, especially on a high time frame like the daily. And then you can see these bullish divergences too, where the same thing happened down here, where it's the same thing but opposite. You have a newer low down here, but the RSI is showing that this is a stronger point in the market, even though it made a newer low. So when you see that kind of the strength is here, but the price is actually lower, and it should be higher based on the strength, then you know that that's typically a really bullish situation.
All right, guys, have a good day. Go back to work.
See you, matches. So anyway, that's a little bit more advanced, but it's also stuff to keep in mind as we go through these. You'll be able to kind of point some of this stuff out as we go along. But again, those things are a little bit more complex, but good to know, because if you stick around this channel and see enough technical analysis, you'll see me make reference to stuff like that, and that. It's just kind of good to understand where that comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things, so there's a bunch of different indicators too, and that the RSI, like I said, always going to be one of the bigger ones. And then another one to pay attention to is called the MACD. And the MACD is this one right here. I'll make it go up. Actually, I'll just make it big like this. And this is a momentum indicator as well. We're having a cross downwards on BTC on the MACD way up high. This is a sign that we're probably in for a period of you can see here that this is like the gas pedal. When it gets up to the top, then that's kind of you take your foot off of the accelerator, and that's kind of the slowdown. And then these are just like the RSIs. They do the same thing. And when they cross like this, they're just like the death crosses. So the faster average moving through the slower average indicates that we're probably gonna be losing some momentum for who knows how long.
Okay.
But you can compare it to times in the past, especially if you see one that's been this high. I'll clean this up a little bit. So again, we're on the daily. So if you can go to when we've been about this high, you can see that in the past, this is what happened when we did that. We went from right here. So this was the high right here, and the low that it had on the MACD was this day right here. Actually, we'll do this day because it stayed and made new lows. but you're talking about a 62% decrease in price in that time frame too.
Okay.
So the point that I kind of almost see in this is just that in the market, there's almost always an equilibrium in TA. Anybody that says they can predict where something's going to be, they're mostly lucky with some good I guess. I shouldn't say mostly lucky. The fact of the matter is, at any time, something in the market could happen that could cause the market to absolutely do the worst case. Whatever you're seeing, just as good to the upside as to the downside. So it's almost like every single day you look at the market, and whatever could happen to the up could almost the identical thing is almost in play for the downside.
Yeah.
So when someone typically comes to me and they say, well, where do I think the market will be? It's like I'm thinking about, okay, well, it's either going to be this much up or this much down, or I can take a lot of I do have certain ways of feeling more bullish and being more confident about trades so that I can adjust my entries differently. But for the most part, what looks like can happen for the plus side can almost always be possible for the downside.
Yeah.
And these indicators are the way that I look at them is they're in order to understand the trend or that maybe we have hit a bottom or that maybe it is a good time to trade. All of these indicators are like check boxes. So if I'm doing a trade, if I'm going through my trading system, when we were starting out, I was talking about all kinds of really bullish things that look really great for BTC. This would be a checkbox that I would say, hey, this looks bearish as all hell right here. We've got a cross. That's a omen usually. Typically when you've got a cross like that, that means the best is behind us already. However, look at this on the weekly. On the weekly, we just had a cross to the upside, and the weekly is a stronger one. So this is a good move. I could anticipate that maybe, like we saw in that RSI earlier, that maybe on the daily, this move was pretty quick. It shot down real fast on the and not only that, it was divergent to the movement that was happening up here. Up here, we had a move like this. Down here, we saw on the daily, starting from right here, we saw a move down. So that's a divergent move,
Yeah.
So yeah, we very well could be, you can see in times in the past when you get to places like this, for an example, this happened where the faster moving average crossed through the lower one, but from here to here, let's take a look and see what price did from this point to this point. It was a 6% drop. That wasn't that much, And that's from the high here to the low here. It crossed over again, and that should have been a really bullish sign that we're on our way up. If that happens here, I mean, you can see how on a larger time scale, it's very plausible that you could have something cross through and go back up, but it would be a definitely a cool move, that's for sure. Right here, we're close. We had a move down right here when it was on its way up right here. This is cool. So this was during the bull run that this happened, and it actually looks very similar to where we are now. We have a little move down. What was this? This was about a 12% move down. That's a pretty significant move over the course of a couple, where was it? Where right here? Over the course of a week or so. But then it crossed over again right 3,000 right there. The up move was insane. That was a 580 move, 580% move right there.
Wow.
But it's also as you can see right here, this is where it was running into the resistance from these places. So we're in a very, very similar place right now than we were right here. Very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the other thing that I wanted to show, and let me just delete these real quick. So, and this is back to how I caught ASTR back over here. So what I typically try to do, and I'm actually going through the process of kind of organizing my my TradingView watch lists right now. So I'll show you how I've been doing it. So I have this document. I actually tapped into my what's it called? The AP, the code, the code of the API. That's, my brain is a complete mush right now. I tapped into KuCoin's API and I got their the list of all of their their coins based on leverage. So I created these different categories. This one's for 125x, which is the only one is BTC. This one's for 100x, which I think the only one is Ethereum. These are all the 75x coins that I'm ordering them. These are all the 50x coins. These are the 30x coins and the 20x coins. I typically do futures only. However, once I get to my target of in these trades, then I'll probably take some out and do some spot investing type of trades with them.
Okay.
But so typically I'm more interested in how much leverage I can get because in the way that I trade, the more the better, which is, you know, again, I think very risky for a lot of people, but I have a good handle on it.
Yeah.
So what I do is I go through, let me find that. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, the 50 trade though, let's say you put $100, you time that, you know, you do it 50 times. But the problem is that if it dropped down a certain amount much, it can just liquidate and you lose that money.
Correct. Yeah, and it's usually about 1% too, so it's not a lot of movement that does it. On high leverage like that. So what I'll do is let me see. I'm trying to think of what's the I'm trying to find where I left off on this. I did uni. Did I do uni? Uni's here. Where did I see uni? Uni's here. I did uni. Let me see. Okay, so I'm just going. So the next one on the 50 is YFI. So I'll go down and I'll get the YFI. I'll check and see if there's not a better indicator or a better index to use or better exchange to use. I found that Binance typically has the longest histories. So, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the longest history. Who goes back the furthest? In this case, Binance goes to August of 20. So yeah, I'll do that one. So I'll add it to here. If I add it here, then I'm going to end up getting rid of this one just because there's a little bit of longer time frame on it. And I'm trying to get this thing perfect. So I'm going to add it here. And then I go down to the bottom where it adds, and then I know this is a 50x, so I'm going to just drag it to my 50x section. I think I can right-click on it, and it'll be easier. Next time I'll try that, because it's kind of a pain in the ass to do this. And I'll drag it right there. So that's the first step. So this is just this is where I have all of the KuCoin's coins on here. And I'll check out the weekly. There's really not much it shows me. If I were to do anything, I guess I would just check and see where we are on the ratio. And we're way past the golden. So I will open this up and see what we did hit. And I'm going to put these on so you can see the levels just for a little bit. Because these are all the different Fibonacci numbers. So it went up, it retraced down to the 89, which is a common one in crypto, by the way. On a smaller time frame, I'll go to the day and I'll see where we're at over here on the same. We go up, still hit the 89 right here. So I'll even go back on a smaller time frame and see where we hit here, like this. So that's a little closer. We hit the golden pocket, and then we came up, and we're probably in a little bit more of a move up. But there would be two good entries that I can see on this one when it does come back down. Is it good enough for my watch list just yet? I'm not sure. Let me just take a little peek real quick, and I'll see what's going on. So the way that I would anticipate this moving, I would anticipate this going here, and I'll show you where with my levels how I would expect this one to work. Okay, so if this was a correction downward, this white bar would have been the best place for it to correct downward from. But that would be if this was coming from a newer low. So I don't know that I'd give it that much clout. The most popular or most common place that we should see this move end would be right about here. So I'm not going to put this one on the watch list. This one still has some upward move to go. It's not a good trade for me. So I'll just kind of keep this on my regular list, and I'll move on to the next one, which is EOS. But I think I already did EOS. Did I already do EOS? EOS. Maybe not. Okay, I'll find EOS. Yeah, we're obviously going to move upwards on EOS too. It's a nice one. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to try and see if there's a better EOS to look for. Yeah, I guess I have to just drag it all the way to the 50. Okay, so on the 5-day or weekly, positive weeks up. The low was on the Looks like, hold on, the 14th of August. Let's go into the daily and see where we're at. So this is a move upwards. You can tell that this move upwards hasn't finished yet. So it's one of those where, people catch these all the time, by the way. It's called FOMO. FOMO is a bad word as far as I'm concerned. Most of the time when you FOMO into something, it's a mistake. But people FOMO into this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it though. This is clearly already in motion. We could try and guess where it would turn around, but let's see, it would probably be something like, so the same tool we use on the way up, we use on the way down. So if there's a upside down, look at, we're right on the golden number right here for if there's a turnaround on the way up. I bet you anything we're right on the 1-to-1 from one of these too. Oh, we passed the 1-to-1. There's some movement here. Let's see. I'd guess that the turnaround is going to be right around here. But that's just using the Fibonacci numbers. Again, you can look up all of the different indicators that are available, and there are a lot. Looks like we're narrow, so we could be near the top soon. Again, when these cross, typically the top has already happened. So if this starts to like widen this gap right here between these two lines, then right now it's really narrow. But if it starts to widen, then that would be a really good sign that there's a lot of upward movement left to go.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to put it on my watch list because it's moving up. I'm already too late for the way I trade on this one, so I'm just going to move on to the next, which is DOT, D-O-T. So again, just from the bottom, we can see and happening. I'm going to go to smaller time frames because this thing didn't even, here's, I guess, the first little cooling period right here. So we have a diagonal right here, which is how it did it. Started off with one of those expanding patterns like this.
Yeah.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have from there, it didn't quite make it to the 50. Do we have any 50s? There we go. That one made it to the 50. This thing's just been a rocket the whole time. It's never given us a chance to catch up. I'm not going to put it on my list. It's already on its way up. I have to wait for it to come down to about 4 before I'm interested in this one. So I move on to the next one, which is FIL.
So that wedge right there on the DOT, that's all that wedge that you made.
Oops, did I not add it to? I guess I didn't add it to the section.
The 2 orange marks that you made?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is actually the entire first impulse of that. It's done in a diagonal like this. And so once it hits that top, then it usually retraces down to the golden pocket again. But in this case, it didn't. It only went down about yay far. Yeah, I see why. That would have been a hard one to catch because it just never retraced all the way down. This is okay. So that pattern, the expanding pattern, this is where it ended. It should be. This is where it should have been caught, right? Yeah, it didn't even make it to the 50. So yeah, I would typically wait for this one to also come down and test one of these lower levels. It's basically buying the dip or finding out which dip to buy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do FIL. God, everything's in the green today, man. Look at that. It's just killer moves today. You can see on this one, it went right past the golden pocket on the way down. But on the way back up, I bet you we're good here. This was probably right on it. Pretty close. So this would have been the move to catch right in here. So now there might be a potential in here to maybe catch something on the way down again. I would anticipate, let me do just a little extra TA on this one. So in this one, I can tell that it's going to probably stay pretty nicely. It'll move nicely in this. I might have caught it too late because it might be already heading for the top of this range again. But if it does come anywhere near the bottom of this, it might be a good trade, especially if it happens to be, let's see, either way into the future when this line hits this in September of 24. That's too long to wait. Or yeah, it might not hit that line for a while. We might have been too late on this one. I'm probably not going to put this one on my watch list either. But there is a possibility that this will retrace a little bit and take off from here. Yeah, I think that's the most I'm going to do on this one right now. I'll look at some other ones. I'm tempted to kind of do a little more technical analysis on just because I see this as a, let's see. We're maxed out on the RSI on the weekly. We do have room on the daily to come up, but it did make a move down first. So we've got this. Let's see. So this indicator right here, it's a hard one for me to explain, but this indicator, it tells you whether the volume is positive or negative volume. So as the volume if the volume is supportive of a bearish market, you're going to see this trend line go down, and if it's a bullish shows bullish volume, then it'll show up as an increase. The way that I use it is I like to use these as ways of telling whether or not a bottom has been hit. There's a lot of indication that the bottom's already been in on this one. When I draw this trend line down like this, and it's already past it, and not only that, you have a new low where there's higher lows coming in on it. It shows that we're for the most part bullish. I want to make sure that it stays above this line. If it goes below this line, I would say that would probably be a big indicator that you're heading into bearish territory again. But this is basically a triangle, and triangles are interesting. When they happen, it's usually at a place of equilibrium when the market doesn't know what to do. But they also happen towards the very end of an impulse wave. So you'll see often a triangle is like the last move before it pushes up into another move. Okay, I'm going to go check my notes real quick to see if there's something else I wanted to make sure to go over. Have you had a chance to mess around with TradingView and kind of look for things and mess around with some of the tools?
Yeah, I did a little bit, but I know that Smoke Monkey, him and I, he actually showed me a bunch of stuff that he was looking at. So he was doing a lot of that.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool indicators too. There are, let's see, I'll show you one that's kind of, it shows so many things. I don't use it. I think the way that I use indicators is indicators are all representations of the past. So anything that an indicator shows you, the way I look at it, oftentimes if it's showing up on an indicator, it's probably too late for you to have made that move. And the RSI is like a really good example of that. Like, now if you're trading on the weekly RSI and you wait till it gets to the bottom, I know a guy that made tens of thousands of dollars doing that in a very short amount of time. He just bought it when the weekly RSI was at the bottom, and he sold it when it was at the top. He also happened to be very lucky. He happened to catch it, right at the end of the bull market where, but like I said, that was good enough. And the weekly is a slow enough indicator to where if you have the patience, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
But there are indicators that let me see what I forget what these things are called. I'll find. Oh, here it is. The market cipher. This in one indicator just has like so many different things to it. It has these signals that tell you, that there's been a cross and it's now a green light to start trading on the daily. The red lights typically when it's indicating that you had some kind of a death cross or something. These all have the green zone is when it's been bullish. The red zone is when it's been bearish. These are all different RSIs. This is divergence. Like you can get as technical as you want with some of these, but you can see that this has just about everything you could possibly imagine on one indicator. People swear by this. I just think it's overkill. The best, my favorite tools when it comes to I guess plotting and trading My two favorite tools are the Elliott Waves tool, which is what kind of automatically puts these little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. It counts the waves for me, and my channeling tool. You know, this little channel. It shows me so much. Like Bitcoin just plays so well into the channels. So when I do my Bitcoin from, especially since the recent low, my channels make. Oh, I already kind of showed you. So you find that first wave, and you create this channel from the bottom of the first wave, from the 1 and the 2, right? And you point it all the way up.
Yeah.
Then you raise it to the top, and then this is what's called the base channel. So most of the action in this impulse structure will happen in effect to this. Then you get your wave 3s, which they're the big waves. In this one, this is showing from a week, but if you go from like a daily, or let's see, even less, it'll break this down into, this is 1, 2, this was this is a 3, 4, and 5 is how it's doing it. But you can typically take your channel from the low point all the way to the previous high point, like this, draw your impulse channel like that, and you can typically see where price is going to, in this case, it almost touches these right here. But that's why I was saying that this has that ability to, the 5 should end on this channel. That's kind of the rule, is not a rule, but it's like, it's very common for the 5 to end on this channel.
Yeah.
So when we go to a weekly, it's using this as the 2. So I'd be curious to see if that's the 2, then it would indicate that the 5 is, or the 3 would end somewhere along. Actually, hold on. I'm going to do this in linear just to see. That's something that I gotta walk you through too, linear and logarithmic. So this is technically a 3. I know this is over your head, but typically the 3 won't begin until it's actually outside of this channel. Otherwise, it still could be a correction. Because the difference between a correction and an impulse is corrections stay really, really nicely nested in these channels like this. And what I mean by a correction is that means that this is the impulse still, and that this is actually just a correction before we make a move down. So there's a lot of people that are saying, that the next bull run on BTC is on. I would say that one of the check boxes that would need to be in place before we're talking about meeting new highs and stuff is that it would have to exit this box. It would have to exit that. It would have to we'd have to be bullish in on this. This one right here. Let me. So yeah, I think we're in a bullish move here because we came down, broke through this resistance right here, back tested it, and stayed above it. So that's a good sign. We're still above that. That's a good sign. So I would say as long as we don't go below this, we're in good shape on this indicator. This box is checked. So but those are my favorite tools. yeah, is basically just the Fibonacci retracement tool and my my channel tool, my parallel channel tool. But I do use a lot of others. You'll see me using okay, so you'll see me using my pitchfork often on long wave structures. I'm trying to think of what other tools that are cool. Oh, Bollinger Bands are kind of neat. Bollinger Bands are indicators. So Bollinger Bands are, oh gosh, you probably know this because you're the engineer brain. But what is the term for something in math where 98% of the activity happens within the bands, but there's always the 2% that happens outside of them? I can't think of the term. I'm not a math guy, so it's one of those things that, when I hear it, it's but I understand it, but like I forget what the term is. But Bollinger Bands are cool because since most of the activity stays within these bands, a lot of people trade off of when they hit these lines, especially on a weekly. If you're this is a good sign that that it's probably going to make a move back down, because as you can see, it doesn't really spend a lot of time outside the lines. However, one thing worthy of note is when it does spend time outside the lines, it really does. Like this right here, this is the bull run. All of this is outside that line, you see? Kind of came in and touched it for a second. It came out. But this is the stuff outside this lines only accounts for 2% of all price activity. So we're already in the top 2% of price activity right now. That means 98% of the price activity is in this level below us. So it's like, this would tell me you're against the odds and you should probably move downwards. But again, this is what happens in when it does kind of branch out.
But this is more. This is more like a history, more, right? It's not really like an indicator, like you said.
Yeah, these are all based off of averages. Here, I'll show let me just real quick. I'll pull up the definition of the Bollinger Band. I'll show you how the ratio, how it figures it out. Standard deviation is the term I was trying to find. Standard deviation. So they have a standard deviation where it measures activity. Let's see, period and standard deviations. Above it, so it's the deviation above and below this moving average, which is a 20-day moving average. So if you're to take all of the last 20 days and take 98%, these are the different lines that those would lie between.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of all the stuff that I wanted to make sure to go through. I'm going to continue going through and adding these to my, because it's just one of those things I have to hustle through and get them over with. I'll do a handful of them every day until I got the whole thing. And the goal is that I won't need to check check them until I get alerts. So that's the other thing that I do is I set up alerts for my trades. And maybe I'll show you on the next one is ADA, which I've heard a lot about ADA lately. So I already have ADA in here because I was doing technical analysis on it the other day. So we have a move off the 50, and we actually have pretty recent low. I'd be really curious. This is the one where I keep seeing that it should actually bounce off the 50, come up a little bit, and then come down and bounce off the golden pocket again. But I don't want to miss that, so I'm trying to figure out if this is a good one or not. There's a good possibility that this will retrace in here because here's where the resistance is right here. We're still below the resistance. So price came down, stayed below this trend line right here. Popped through, tested it again, and then we're moving out. But let me look at volume. Not seeing big giant spikes in volume that are like going to push this over. I still think that this might be a good chance to catch this down here somewhere. So if this comes down and hits around this area right here, I might be interested in a trade. It might take a while though. This, like for instance, it shows that it's going to hit, like if it just continues on pace, it'll hit in like May. But what I'll do is I'll draw a line right here like this, and so it's just a line, and then I will add a not on the daily. I'm going to go to the hourly. And I'll draw and I'll add an alert. So and what I do is I have it hit once per minute. So what'll happen is my phone will start blowing up when this thing crosses this line right here. Excuse me, that was a nice little burp. So when the if price ever crosses this line, it'll just blow up my phone. I'll get a bunch of text messages and alerts that even though this is still going up, I wouldn't mind seeing if it, monitoring that and just because it's close enough to where I could see it making kind of a move like that. I'm also going to make sure that this is in my watch list. Which it is. I have it in my watch list. Right there. Okay, so I'm going to go back after ADA, go to the next one, which is Ethereum, but I don't need to do Ethereum. I've already got that in my lists. TRX. Ooh, it's down today. If I'm going through this, I actually prefer to see them in the red when I'm doing it. When I say green, it's like I just know that most everything's already been done, and you just have to wait. Patience is everything. that one does have a longer history. I'm gonna have to get rid of the other one.
Like $10 times, the 50 time multiplier. Does it right away give? I mean, I'm just curious how that lists as far as like uh the trading account. Like, does it give you? Does it just give you the 50 times after you sell it, or?
So it's a little bit different than like a spot trade. You can actually watch the it add up, and it's. I'm trying to think of how to explain that. So when you sell it, you at any given time you know what it's worth. Like you can actually monitor. There's a little table on your dashboard that lists your coins and how much you're up or down. If you're up, it'll show in the green. If you're down, it'll show in the red. And then when you sell it, you know because it'll tell you what. I mean, you could do the math yourself too, but it does make it easy for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to put this one on my watch list either. It looks like there could be like a short-term move that would be nice on it, but it's not worth it to me.
Yeah. Now part of it is like knowing like if you were to do it, you want to make sure that if you have to hold on to it long term, if you were wrong about something, eventually it will go back up, in a couple months rather than a couple weeks or a couple days. You're trying to like trade with those kind of things that are a little bit more popular, right? I mean, stuff that you would actually believe that's actually going to be valuable long term.
Yes and no. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. There are some coins that have real good use. We've talked about this before, and then there's shit coins. And shit coins will still trade based on the patterns. They're a little bit more erratic, but oftentimes I'll trade. And I don't even know what the coin is. That Astra coin, I don't know what it does. Yeah, and I should. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's a good habit to do that, because I'm trading it based on what I see the pattern though. I mean, I've never really even thought about if this would be one that I would go, okay, this is going to be the next Bitcoin or anything.
Yeah.
I suppose so. I've been, my strategy has been doing this. Man, it's up 15% now. Holy shit. My strategy has been just to find these, exit out of them at a over a very long swing. Finding. I mean, my ultimate goal, if I could, if I have the patience for it, after this moves above this place right here, I'll put a stop loss right here, and that will that means that if it ever comes back down, then it'll exit my trade for me. I got to take a phone call real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so for this one, I mean, especially since it's just a absolute rocket today, I would be very curious to see, you know, what signs of it coming to an end would be. The daily hasn't hit 100 yet on the RSI. We are definitely in overbought territory on the RSI, the regular RSI. We're also higher in RSI than we were over here, even though price is a little bit lower than it was right here. So if I go up a little bit, it's going to look divergent here. Maybe not. Not quite yet, at least. On the daily it does, though. That would be bullish, too. Took a nice little turn to widen this up right here too. So this looks good. We're pressing the gas again because that's a dark line right there. So that means momentum is back on with this one. That's a really good sign. Maybe we can see.
What is it?
Go ahead.
Yeah. What? This is a zoom in of what was the? Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, this is the MACD.
Okay.
So the other thing is all of these, the RSI, and you know, to give you an idea, and it might be a good idea to start kind of understanding this too. But hold on a second. Oh, that's why that's funny. I couldn't open another window because I had my push to talk on.
Was that MACD or MACB? Sorry.
MACD, like Delta.
Okay.
It stands for Moving Average Convergence Divergence. So the RSI is based off of a formula, and you can look up the formula because, like I said, I'm not the math guy, but understanding how the formula works and how it's calculated does absolutely help. So even though, like I said, my brain isn't the math brain, having the understanding of how it's calculated does give you kind of an insight to how to use the tool to understand strength and weakness. So if you get a chance, go to Investopedia and look at the section on RSI. Remember, there's two different types. There's two different indicators. There's the stochastic RSI, which is an oscillator, meaning it moves, it oscillates from 0 to 100 back and forth. And then there's the standard RSI, which is this one right here. And this is what tells you overbought and oversold. If it's over the 70% area, it's considered overbought. If it's in the 30, 40 or below area, then it's oversold. And then understanding how to calculate that, you can see how it would affect price, either bullish or bearish, when it comes to the divergences. So when you see that you have a lower RSI here, but price is higher, you know, it makes sense. It makes better sense as to why the strength of the market is showing less, but price is showing higher. You know, you can start to see that when those things make a lot of sense. And the reason why I think that's important too is because most traders, what they do, they just remember little things like this. Okay, if RSI goes from low to high, but price goes from high to low, then that means it's bullish. And they just remember that as kind of like the mnemonic of it. But I've never had so when I was in school, I had always had a hard time with mnemonics because they didn't teach me like the reason why it happened. They just taught me that, oh yeah, if you do, the PMDAS or Mercury, Venus, Earth, like it doesn't actually, I can't visualize it that way because all it is just a pulling from my memory, So I always had to be the type of learner that like I actually had to understand the order of the planets because like I was, like that's so anyway, my point being, understanding how these formulas are calculated gives you a better idea of why it's considered strength or weakness, and it'll help out in understanding some kind of the stuff in the future when you start to understand like divergences better, and why seeing contrasting data on stuff like that actually can tell a lot about where price is or where price is going.
And I'm definitely the same way. I have to know why I'm a visual learner, and then also I have to know before I learn a new formula, why is that formula going to help me?
Exactly.
Before I even try to fill up my brain with something.
Yeah, and that's a great way to do it, especially in the beginning. I don't think most people understand how RSI is calculated. Once you do that, you can also find out that your style of trading might require RSI at a different speed. I noticed that pretty quickly on. I think most people use 14 days as an RSI period, and I like to go 10 days.
Yeah.
all of these things are tweakable. Even a lot of people don't consider 60. Oh, hold on, where is it? Where do we have these? On this indicator, it doesn't give you the option to customize it. But you can customize just about everything on here, because again, if you're a different style of trader, or you want to maybe you can anticipate a move faster than the rest of the market that's using 14 days instead of 10, you can change it to 10, and it might give you a faster moving RSI. You might be able to see it move from 0 to 1, before everybody else, and it might give you a huge leg up.
I see.
And then again, all of these are also a lot of them are completely customizable if you know Pine, which I know Smoke Monkey knows Pine, so he can probably get into the editing the scripts. This particular the one that I was telling you, it's custom. This one, it has the different time frames. This one was custom made by a guy in one of the Discord channels, Jolt. I named it it's funny because I haven't talked to him in years, in probably over a year, but I named it the Jolt Big Dick Energy Oscillator. But he wrote this code. He saw an indicator he liked somewhere else, and I think he took little pieces of it from other indicators and ended up coming up with this thing. And I think it's really cool because it tells me a lot more of the story that I want to see than your standard stochastic RSI.
Yeah.
Man, this thing's just an absolute rocket right now. Look at that. Oh yeah, so I'm going to try and find exit points. The regression trend is another tool that I use a lot. I don't think a lot of people use it, and I use it very differently than most people do too. So when I use my regression tool, I typically will go from a high to a low. And so this works the same way. This has a standard deviation. I think it's also 2%. And it tells me just on a linear way, if I go from the high to a low, where where price is in accordance with it. So in this case, I went from this high to this low. I can clearly see, and I already knew it before I drew it, that price was going to have moved out of it, and even have had probably other impulse waves also. So I'll take it from there, and then I'll redraw it from the low to a high. And it's the same thing. And again, when it comes out of it, it always back tests too. See, that's where this is a good entry for a short right here. If you were to do a day trade for, I don't know, from September to the 20th of October, 1 month. This is a month-long trade that would have gotten 30-something%. Epic right there.
So how to do that red box that you just did?
So this is the ruler tool, the little measure right here. So you can take a point anywhere, and I have my magnets on. That's how so you can see that as I hover above, it'll lock to that the top of the candle.
Yeah.
So I have my magnet on that does that. If I take my magnet off, then it'll just let me go anywhere. But if I ever need like that kind of precision, I can just hit my control button. Same thing. It turns my magnet off. It's a little shortcut.
Now, have you had any experience doing like a trading bot, or is that something that's even possible?
I've used some of the trading bots that are available for like a subscription service, and I've never really had I've never really had luck with it, but only because for two things. One, I was only kind of learning about it, so it was experimentally based. But secondly, kind of the style of trading that I have to do is this futures trading stuff. And because I take money out every month, I actually have to just keep building that. And there's really not a strategy where a bot would work for me with that just yet. I think given time, after I've had like a spot bag built up and stuff, then I think that would be possible. But now, okay, so that same guy that built that indicator, though, he did really well with bots. I've talked to you about him before. And he had this bot that had really quick, he would set it up to where he would start with pennies, highly leveraged, and over the course of a day, he had a couple bucks, but starting with pennies was incredible,
Yeah. Huh. And I know that's something that Smoke Monkey is trying to get into. And I kind of think that I would like to try to get into that too in the future, but obviously we're gonna start with the basics and just try to learn how to do some small day trades so we can understand before we make it more complicated.
Yeah, gotcha. There's other Discord groups too where there's a lot of botting. I was just added to one the other day where I know the guy that started it is heavy into bots, and I'm sure I could ask him to come in and talk to you about it too.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and then I know Lee, he said he's gonna be there on Wednesday. And the crypto guy, he says that it's like probably another couple weeks out before he can be full remote work. And he said once he's out full remote, he can do Monday and Wednesday as well.
Nice, that's awesome, man. This is good for me, and it's gotten a little bit of activity in some of the other groups too. I've noticed there's some talk about it.
Okay, good. Oh, one thing I forgot to ask you for, what's your channel name for the YouTube account?
Oh, crypto. I think it's Crypto Jewels. Let me get it. See, I have it up right now. Hold on. Jewels Crypto or Crypto Jewels? Crypto Jewels.
Crypto Jewels, okay.
Look at the stupid comments on YouTube.
What?
Man, these motherfuckers. One, send me a kiss. One, Jules, I need serious TA on pussy coin.
Oh my gosh.
I know who these people are, though. They're just busting balls.
That's funny.
I just realized I have a meeting this afternoon. I thought I was pretty clear of meetings all day today. Damn it.
Yeah, those are. I've been really the job that I've been working. I've been really blessed that the last like 4 weeks I've been only have to work like 20 hours.
That's great, man.
And I even told my bosses like, look, I'm only working 20 hours. There's no work for me, guys. Like you're fine. Don't worry. The times will be busy and times will be slow. So
Yeah, that's the kind of deal I have with my clients too. But it's nerve wracking when it's slow, isn't it?
yeah. And so yeah. But this is the gosh. It's been what is it? 12 years that I've been self-employed. So I work for somebody else now. So it's very weird to work slow.
Yeah, I'm having that because I've actually been looking at some kind of positions that have been opening up, and I'm just thinking to myself because it's been well over 10 years that I've been working for myself.
Yeah.
But I was always a really good employee though. I'm not worried about that. It was just it's a little bit of a culture shock, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. Just try to find a remote job and give you a little bit of freedom. So
Yeah, that's my dream is to be completely digitally nomadic. I want to be able to like sell and live wherever from whatever island I'm currently living in.
um so yeah, I wrote all the definitions, all the things that we went over. Um I definitely have my homework to do more research and try to learn up on everything so that way I can understand better and get smarter for next week, for next month, for Wednesday. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm in. I'll probably hang around a little bit. I don't know if I'll be, if I'll be on voice the whole time, but I'll be here. If you see me, if you don't have to do it just on Mondays and Wednesdays. If you see me in here, come say hi. Sometimes I'll be, like if you just see my icon, sometimes I might not answer. That means I'm, probably eating dinner or something, but pop on by.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot, Jules.
You got it, Defi.
Have a good one.
All right, I'll see you.